Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Last week, season 13 kickoff. What a riot. Dr. Deborah Heiser, 40th visit to the show. 40 times she's been on this radio program.
Wow.
I'm getting old. That's okay, though. I like it. You know what? It's better than the alternative. So, yeah, season 13 kickoff, we touched on all kinds of different show titles that I had thrown at her, the 40 plus, and we chose some of the top ones. It was hilarious. It was fun. It was great. And mental health advocacy is my thing. So that's what we do here. Today, as I was just saying in our pre-show on our video, which is on YouTube and all over the place, my brother. This is not a brother from another mother. This is my brother from my mother. I mean, it's my real brother. I know I say brother from another mother with a lot of my buddies out there, and it's like sisters from another mister and all that kind of stuff. This one is legit. I mean, DNA, we got it going on. My brother Bill, William, Paul, Matt. We call him Bill. He's a king. He's awesome. Guy's smart as heck. My youngest brother, he is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. And we're going to talk exclusively about Meadow Brook Hall. We're going to start promoting Meadow Brook Hall over the next several years. We're going to start doing some more stuff with Bill. Took him a little while to kind of get himself acclimated, and COVID kind of threw everybody curve balls. I can do a quick bio here, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna let Bill tell his own story, because Bill's got a very, very long historical perspective and his experience and his educational background. And I won't do it but his bio is extremely, it's very robust. Makes me very proud. So without further ado, I'm just gonna turn Bill loose, let him do This Is Your Life, talk about his historical perspective himself a little bit, let him tell the story, because he has been, a guy who's been in the refirement zone a couple of times, changing things, moving around, not afraid to take on a challenge. That's Brother Bill. I want to welcome to the radio program.
Thanks very much, Tom.
My pleasure, brother. How are you?
I'm good. It's funny, anytime somebody sees us, sees you, then me, or me, then you, it's obvious that we're brothers. And they always go back to the voice. They say that I sound so much like you. I can't really pick it up because, I'm hearing from my own voice from inside my head. But so everybody tells me we sound a lot alike.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that too. And I'm the same. But it's funny how we both have the same feelings. Like, well, great. I've heard people really like the voice. So I take that as a major compliment. So, okay, I'll let you borrow my voice, bro.
I have borrowed it too. I'm stealing all your good stuff.
That's good, man. That's what big brothers are for. So, okay, best athlete in our family. Brother Bill, for sure. Well, maybe next to Karen. And we all like to think that we were all good athletes, but this kid, when he was a kid, the kid had more natural talent than freaking Gail Sayers. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Anyways, Bill, we want to do the This Is Your Life thing, talk about Meadow Brook Hall. I'm really excited to have you on, and I appreciate you giving up the time. I know you're busy as heck with your gig at Oakland University. Let's start it off. Okay, talk about the fam first, and then jump into your personal career, or however you want to do it. If you want to do your personal career first and the fam, this is your time to shine. You got a good 8 minutes. Go right ahead.
Thanks. I'll just start with a brief bio. I was a lifelong resident of Michigan. I was born in Bay City, moved to Lansing when I was about 2, I believe. I don't really remember too much, but with the family as the youngest, as Tom had mentioned, with our nuclear family at the time. Grew up in Lansing, went to Lansing Public Schools. Graduated from J.W. Sexton High School, whereas my older siblings went to crosstown rival Everett Vikings. No animosity there.
None.
Healthy competition.
Yes.
Go Big Reds.
Go Vikings.
I took some coursework at LCC, as a lot of people in Lansing do. It's a wonderful institution and a great resource for anybody in the Lansing or mid-Michigan area, of course.
Lansing Community College, by that acronym for people that are outside this area and don't know what the heck we're talking about.
Lansing Community College, yep. And I started working kind of full-time initially at Meyer, and I was in the security department. I became the loss prevention manager, which is the guy who goes around, arresting shoplifters and picking up people who are taking things from the store, which is a lot of fun, but also it's kind of a young person's job.
We could do a whole episode on that. I kind of forgot about that whole period of your life, but I'll bet you we could revisit that and just have a riot, huh?
Yeah, the stories from that job are a lot of fun.
But today the story is focusing on Meadow Brook Hall of Oakland University, a wonderful, wonderful institution. And my brother Bill, who's executive director, perfect guy to talk about all of this stuff, and Oakland University. Go ahead, brother. Continue on, please.
So I worked in operations and the retail setting. Then I went to work for LEPFA, the Lansing Entertainment Public Facilities Authority. Became the operations manager there. Of course, we do the convention business. We also managed events at Lugna Stadium. We managed the Lansing City Market, along with Common Ground Music Festival. So there's a number of different things in the entertainment kind of aspect. Working at the Lansing Center and for LEPFA. 2001, I went to work for MSU. And one of the reasons I went back to MSU, as you know, but the audience may not, was to continue my education. As I was reaching a point in my career where I was hitting the ceiling. And I was seeing people maybe less motivated, less capable than I was being promoted above me or ahead of me because they had a college degree. And so that was the handwriting on the wall for me that I really needed to get serious about my career and get back to school.
Let me pause you for a sec, Bill. I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm a huge advocate for non-traditionals. As you know, everybody knows that I'm just in the same boat, and our whole family is kind of that same way. But how old were you when you started to make that transition into non-traditionalhood of your higher education?
So I was 35-ish when I went to work in 2001-ish, about working for MSU. It took a year, to get eligible to start taking classes. It took me 10 years to finish my bachelor's. So I was low 40s when I got my bachelor's. And then I moved right into the master's program, as you know, which took about 3 more years. And so I think I got my master's at the ripe age of about 45.
Here you go. And that's an awesome story. Thank you, Bill. I'm thrilled for you. I was always thrilled for you, and it's just, it's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yep. So when I went to work for MSU in 2001, I started at the MSU Museum, and I was doing special events, chocolate party, dinosaur dash. I was also managing the facility. We did some accreditation things, some expansion, any special events that we were doing, I was in charge of. From there, I went to work for Vinnie Gore, our good friend over at University Housing, and Angela Brown, sweet lady, who awesome. we both know and love very much.
Absolutely.
So I went to work for University Housing because the museum, frankly, was a small unit. Housing was, the biggest unit or the second biggest unit at MSU. And so there's a lot more opportunity there. And I can't be more thankful for the opportunity working in housing at that particular time with Vinnie, because as you know, they were going through this remarkable expansion, a series of renovations, and he was really great about getting many people in housing trained in project management and engaged as part of the team in these planning processes. And so I worked on a lot of projects with University Housing. Eventually, was the central business office manager, and from that position, and I can say 2008. Is when I started in housing. I think 2014, I went to work for the Broad Art Museum on campus. So it was my third stop on campus at MSU, and I became the deputy director at the Broad Art Museum. And this afforded me the opportunity really to delve into some areas of operations and business that I wasn't quite as familiar with, such as curating art and exhibition work, as well as human resources. So every time I explore a new opportunity, I look to learn some new skills and add to the quiver.
All right, hold that thought, because we're going to come back and we're going to go to break here, and I'm going to carry this through and reset this, everybody. We're going to talk Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. Very, very, very grateful to have my youngest brother, William, Billy, with us, and he is the man.
Call me Billy.
That was a slip, and since we're recording, I'm just going to keep it in the thing, and it's all good, man, because you know what? He's my man. Bill, William, Matt is with us, the executive director. I'd like to say that. I love it when my siblings have all these big titles and great jobs. It just shows you, it makes you proud. As the oldest, makes me supremely very, very proud of my brother. Okay, we're going to go to break here. Again, you want information about Oakland University, Meadow Brook Hall, this is your episode. Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power. One record release a month for all of 2023, Sonic Marathon, is currently underway by band leader Archivall and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial and Craig Stiles. Craig. Full disclosure, as I say every show, financial fitness is his game and our show topic with him. He's our subject matter expert, and he handles all of our retirement zone savings. Thank God. You know what? I try to focus on what I do, y'all. You know that. I talk about this all the time. With the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant. I love our life right now. We're doing this thing. We're doing the video. We're doing the radio. We're blessed to have all of this opportunity, get to talk to my brother and, talk about good things and share things, because that's who our guest is today. But Craig is our guy, and he sponsors this segment, and we're so grateful. He's helped us over the years a ton. Here's a couple of numbers coming at you. 1-800-528-1355. Local number is 517-483-4893. Craig.Stiles@ampf.com. Okay. The easiest thing for both of our sponsors, Craig, Brock, is at the bottom of our homepage, the banners. Click through on the banners. That'll take you right to them. Okay. And then just say you heard it from Tommy. His offices are located, Craig's office is from Ameriprise, located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B is in Brilliant or B-ism, Lansing, Michigan 48912. Stations across the state carrying us in syndication and non. We have WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, always the first out of the chute because they were the first to carry us on broadcast radio. Thanks to Will Tiemann and Wendy Hart. You guys are the bomb. And everybody over there at the station, you need anything, you hit us up. We'll do whatever we can to support WGHN and beautiful Grand Haven, Michigan, to the bomb. WJAM 1240 AM. Lansing, flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, carrying us multiple times on weekends, because we're a weekend show. WJRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, same thing. WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City. And, of course, our PBS affiliate at Michigan State University, WKAR FM 102.3 and AM 870 News Talk. Again, thanking Craig Stiles for creating Desideri Analytics, his proprietary system where we are making light of weighted decisions. Makes a huge difference in what he does because it's a complicated game out there with your financial fitness. Craig, he's our man. He's got the plan, all right? And I want to say again, thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber, the brains. Steve, you're such a star. And Ivy, you're such a brain. Way to go, you guys. And thank you for carrying us on your syndication and believing in us. And lastly, I'd like to say, I have 4 books on Amazon, that thing called Amazon. Please go check them out. And that's it. That's it for that read, everybody. Let's get back to this program. Talking about Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. How many of you have heard about Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University? I really didn't know much about Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. Brother Bill, William Matt, is my guest today. He is the executive director. I've been wanting to get Bill on for a long time to promote his facility. It's a huge facility. We're not quite done with Bill's bio yet and his historical perspective and saying hello to the fam. So we're going to continue on with his journey, getting it, because it's really important to understand that Brother Bill is a non-traditional student. He spent like 13 years going to college as an older adult in his 30s and 40s. And to inspire all of you out there to think about these things, now look at him. He's the executive director of a massive facility, and he's crushing it. So anyways, Bill, continue on with your historical perspective, because I think it's important to build that foundation, being your first time on the show. Thanks again for coming on. Continue, please, if you would, and then carry it right through and talk about your family.
Okay, so thanks, Tom. Pleasure to be here, of course. I think we had left it when I went to work at the Broad Art Museum, and I spent about, 6 years there. And then in 2021, I got the call from Oakland University to come and manage Meadow Brook Hall as a deputy director at the Broad Art Museum. And this was a chance to become executive director. And, it was really a perfect situation for me. And there was a lot of closeness and kind of connections to MMA. Even realize at the time, but it was one of the few jobs I probably could find where I could get a nice promotion and not really disrupt the family. And speaking of family, as I segue and transition, do a little introduction.
Have you done radio? Oh, it must be a genetic thing. Go ahead.
I usually do television, bro.
Can you guys tell? Can you tell If you watch the video, this is hilarious because it's like, if you don't hit these things out of the park every time, I mean, we don't know what we're talking about.
Anyway,
if we can't bring some comedy to this show and a levity and education, then I screwed up, because that's my job. Go ahead, brother.
Not entertaining and fun, we're not doing our jobs, right?
Exactly.
We should be having fun at work. And if you're not having fun at work, you know what? Find a new job, because life's too short.
Damn right.
To really go through life and have that misery, and we've all had jobs like that. We've had bosses we didn't like and jobs we didn't like and things like that. So, reinvent yourself, have the courage, it takes just that first step is the hardest, but once you start down a path, it's pretty easy to reinvent yourself and find great opportunities out there. So I'd encourage people to do that. If you're not happy with your situation, be proactive about it.
Find those mentors, right, Bill? Like you found Bob Patterson, and we forgot to mention him with Vinnie Gore, and he always asks about you. When I see him at Michigan State, Bob Patterson is I'm not exactly sure what his role is over there, but I know it's kind of a big hitter role.
He was the CFO of Auxiliary Services.
Okay.
So he's the top money man, really one of the chief, decision makers when they're looking at expansion or any kind of major expenses and just, strategic planning and things.
So shout out to Bob for saying hello to brother. Every time I see him at the gym, I see him at the gym all the time. That's
great. Yeah, Bob was one of my closest mentors, and I really appreciate every word of wisdom he was able to share in my journey when I was with housing. I was able to take that to the Broad. And as I was saying before, I went to work at the Broad, picked up a few extra skills, but then I came to work at Oakland, and it was a perfect situation for me because, my family and I, we have my wife and I, Michelle, and I have 3 sons. Nicholas, who's the oldest, he's 26. Avery Thomas, your namesake, ATM. He is 22. He's the middle child. And Owen, Anthony, Matt, he's our youngest at 18. And so between the family of 5, I didn't want to disrupt the entire family and everybody's lives. And my wife runs a very successful business out of her home. And so, just uprooting that and moving, particularly down to Oakland County, where property is a little more expensive than Ingham County, it wasn't really a great opportunity. So I've been commuting, and it's been working out great.
Good for you.
So
I'm glad to hear it. I mean, I know that's and the commute that you make in Michigan is no different than many commutes that people make all over this country. So you do what you got to do. And so you made a good decision here. Let me carry this through here, Bill, because we're going to come up on break here. That was a good way to end it. Thank you for doing that. Resetting everything, everybody. This is episode number 2 of season 13 for us, which I'm very proud to say. And so I'm glad to have Bill Matt with us, my youngest brother. He is the executive director. I'm very proud to say he's the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. When we come back, and for the rest of this episode, we're going to talk exclusively about a lot of historical perspective behind the ties with Michigan State University, Oakland University, Meadow Brook Hall, the automotive industry. There's a fascinating story, and we're going to set this up since this is his first appearance on the radio program, and definitely not going to be his last. So if you want to know more about Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University, stick around, because we're going to talk about it. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/craig.stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Sandy Matt. Actually, we're going to have a new sponsor coming on here. I just found out that it's going to be Shaken and Bacon here, and I can't announce it yet, but I'm pretty certain that because of our growth pattern and what we're doing, it's going to be sweet. Because, to get sponsors for our segment sponsors for us is something that's we're very diligent, and we're very careful about bringing people on. We use and utilize the services of our sponsors. And so as far as our integrity goes, it's spot on. When I do, these aren't even reads. These are like brother from another mother over and over and over and over, and that's that. But our mission here at the Tom Matt Show is to build an engaged society and team. Hit us on all the social medias, but the easiest way is just go to our website, tommattshow.com. Please bookmark that. You can find all the little buttons for all of the players, for all the podcast services, whatever your flavor is. Had a student today asking me about it. He says, can you get Apple Podcasts? I'm saying, yeah, man, just go to the website, just click on one of those blue buttons. It's right there. Everything is so, we have put a tremendous amount of effort into that website. It's been up for 13 years now, 14 years, however long that's been now. And it's always a work in progress, but we're pretty darn proud of it. And we have people liking it a lot because it is solid. We are all about the refirement zone, the refirement zone, the refirement zone. The RFZ is about community collaboration and cooperation, the 3 C's of sharing stories and ideas. If you want to retire and you want to go in that direction, that's totally cool, everybody. Totally great. Good luck. Have fun. Personally, I'm going the other direction. I'm going to the wall for the refirement zone. And I want everybody that wants to jump on this bus to jump on the bus because, like my guest today, William Matt, Executive Director of Meadow Brook Hall, has refired several times. And he was just talking about this, about getting over the anxiety of making that career shift. Why get stuck? Why not have fun at work? He's absolutely spot on. All right, Bill. Begin the story here. You have a good thought process about where you want to go with your mission to promote Oakland University and Meadow Brook Hall. I'm very interested to hear this story. Let's just start at the beginning. However you want to deliver this, please go right ahead. I'm interested to hear this. I've been waiting for this, so thank you, and go right ahead.
Thanks, Tom. It's, again, great to be here. So let me just start with kind of just a real brief overview of what Meadow Brook Hall is. Meadow Brook Hall is a historic home. It's a mansion of sorts that's now acts as a cultural center and museum and events center on the campus of Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. It's an 88,000 square feet building with 110 rooms and 39 chimneys. So Tom, for your comparison sake, it's about the same size as Ag Hall and twice the size as the Broad Art Museum. And this was a private residence of the family that lived here. And then later they would go on to donate the building, the property, and millions of dollars to MSU to create an MSU campus in Oakland County. But I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's set the scene back in Detroit around 1910. And Tom, a lot of people's perceptions of Detroit are as kind of as a Rust Belt town on the decline, with people moving out of it, right? And the suburbs growing strong and the core kind of not doing so well. But imagine Detroit from 1910 to 1960 was more populated than Los Angeles. It was wealthier than Houston, and it had more innovation coming out of it than Silicon Valley. For a span of 50 years, it was in the top 5 as far as population in this country. One of the largest cities and the automotive capital of the world, still is today, of course. So in this era of Detroit, there was a tremendous amount of innovation going into the automotive industry. There were pop-ups. There was hundreds of car companies that were started. And in fact, our story begins with John and Horace Dodge, the Dodge brothers, because it was their wealth that eventually created this campus for Oakland University. And so John and Horace were talented machinists. They were blue-collar workers working in factory-type settings, right? But they were extremely intelligent, very smart, and actually received a patent for a sealed ball bearing in around 1905-ish era, because they were part of a company called Dodge Evans Bicycles. And so they patented this sealed ball bearing, which really revolutionized bicycling, because if you can imagine, before then, all ball bearings had to be cleaned almost daily because of the dirt and grime and things that were getting in there, and the wheels wouldn't turn, right? So they were just very, very smart, but they were also blue collar, everyday working men, right? But just very ambitious, and they started their own car parts company, Dodge Brothers Automotive Parts, and their first contract was actually with Ransom E. Olds in Lansing. So they provided parts for R.E. Olds in the era, of 1905, 1907, that era. But they only worked for RE for only a year, and then they signed a very lucrative contract with Henry Ford. So they went to work with Henry Ford, and Ford was on his third rendition of his company. The first two had failed, and he was starting up the third one. He didn't have enough money to pay the Dodge brothers for the parts, and so he offered them stock options in the company. And that worked out great. Actually, John Dodge became a vice president at Ford Motor Company, working, directly with Henry Ford. And around 1915, when that kind of went to the Dodge's greatest impact on Ford, 60% of every Ford was actually parts made and supplied by Dodge Brothers Parts. So they were making and supplying over half of the car that was going and being processed and sold as Fords. And so they thought, well, why don't we make our own car, figure out how to make our own car and our own car company and make it better. And that's what they did. And so they cashed out from the Ford stock options to the tune of about $25 million. And that provided their startup for their own automotive company. And they very quickly moved from 1915 to 1920 to become the number 2 auto manufacturer in the world behind Ford. And so they rose that rapidly. The reputation for parts, quality, durability, and ingenuity was rivaled by no one else in the world. And so they had a waiting list of, I think, 5,000 dealer applications when they announced that they were going to start the Dodge Brothers Motor Car Company, of dealers and people that wanted their product. So there was no shortage of the people's awareness of the quality materials that they would use and the cars that they built. So they were building a little bit higher end cars than Ford, supplying to a little bit different market. But they were very successful in the automotive business. John and Horace in 1920 attended the auto show in New York. And later that year, they both had, from that show, contracted the 1919 Spanish flu pandemic virus. And they both died in 1920, right as their automotive car company was peaking. And so that left 2 widows in Michigan, Horace's wife and John's wife, Matilda Dodge, as the heirs to the automotive fortune. And Matilda, at that point, became the wealthiest woman in America.
All right, hold that thought right there, because I love this story so much. This is so great. I knew when Bill said he wanted to do, I was hoping he would want to go this direction, because I don't know any of this. And it's like, I love hearing this historical perspective. As he said in our pre-show call, we were talking about this. And so that's where we're going to go with this, because I think it's significant to understand the historical perspective for everything. I mean, history, things come from historical perspective, and you have to understand that foundations are built, people grow, things happen. And what an interesting story about the brothers Dodge. I'm shocked. I had no idea. And so here we go with 2 widows who are going to continue this story. Let me reset this. We're going to go to break. Bill Matt, the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, is with us. My youngest brother. Very, very proud of my brother. Done a wonderful job. Great dad, great husband, just doing it all right. Doing everything all the right way. He is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University, and we're going to talk a lot more about both. But the historical perspective and continuing the story of Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University, coming up next. This is the Tom Matt Show.
For more information on the Tom Matt RFZ mentality, please visit our brand new website at www.tommattshow.com. Subscribe to our podcast via your favorite podcast platform. Visit our brand new YouTube channel for consistently motivating messaging. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Trustworthy. Guy's awesome. 517-853-6408. Local number. Super secret, not so super secret number, but this is the key number right here. You guys ready? I'm going to say it really slow. 517-303-3262. Just kidding. 517-303-3262 is Brock's cell phone number. Seriously. Again, full disclosure. Brock helped us sell Big House Holt, You've heard the story. He's been on the show. He's our reality real estate expert. He's a subject matter expert, just like Craig. Craig is a financial fit. That's the whole point of our sponsors and our segment sponsors, because they become integrated as part of the show and our content, because I want these subject matter experts, like my guest today, Bill Matt's with us, William Matt, Executive Director of Meadow Brook Hall, talking about the things that they know about and getting the straight story. You'll get total straight story, and you'll get the care that you need with your real estate with kwsellingteam.com. That is kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles, because Brock is the best. And again, he invests a lot of money into marketing, thousands, where some of the others, no offense to anyone out there, we don't take pot shots. We don't need to take pot shots. I just want to be straight and say that there are a lot of agents out there that don't want to invest the money in the marketing. And you know what happens? You don't get the results that you need. Brock is the kind of guy who he's very forward thinking. He will always answer his calls. He will always answer his text messages, and he will give you straight advice. And with both of our sponsors, Ameriprise and Keller Williams, these are nationwide companies. So if you're in California or you're in Florida and you're hearing this podcast and you want to get a hold of these guys, they can put you in touch with the local people. They will vet those agents, or whatever we call them, the salespeople, for you, put you in touch with good people. That's what I'm trying to say. So just put you in touch with good people, because that's what we do here. We're all about good people. Good people is what keeps us rocking and rolling, and I love talking to good people. That's why Brock Fletcher is our guy. And just tell him, you heard it from Tommy. And when you say Tommy, the radio guys know exactly what you're talking about, because it all started with the radio thing, because nobody ever called me that. Not even my brother Bill called me that. I might have called him something else, but it wasn't Tommy, that's for sure. All right, Bill. I'm loving your story, man. You're talking about the Dodgers. I had no idea the historical perspective of this Oakland University story. I'm really glad that you decided to go this direction. So please continue it. I want to give you as much time as you can. We got segment and a half to go for the whole episode. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, I think we might need a couple additional segments to get through all of the
material.
Agree.
Well, that's the thing about the historical perspective, Bill. As you know, that if we don't educate and entertain people with this, then we're missing the boat. But this is a great resource. Oakland University is awesome. Go ahead, continue the story, please. You tell the story.
All right. So I think we left it off where the brothers passed away after the New York Auto Show in 1920, leaving the two widows. Now, Matilda Dodge, she had 3 children with John Dodge. John had been married previously, had a previous wife who had passed away, so he was a widower. And Matilda was the stepmother to these other 3 children. And interesting side note, she first met the children on the day that they were married. She had never been introduced to them. After they were married, John took her back to the house on Boston Boulevard in Detroit, dropped her off, and left her at the house with the stepchildren. And she had to figure it out from there. Introduce herself and become the leader of the household, as it were. Anyway, she had 3 children with John. Frances was the firstborn. She was a wonderful world champion equestrian. Daniel was the middle child, and then Anna Margaret was their baby. So after John and Horace passed away in 1921, Anna Margaret passed away from the measles complications. So real tragic story up to this point. Matilda, of course, still grieving John, her true love, and now Anna Margaret. She found a new friend and life partner, Alfred Wilson, at her church, and they were married in 1925. And so she remarried Alfred Wilson. Alfred Wilson at the time was one of the most eligible bachelors in Detroit. Very tall, handsome gentleman, educated at Beloit. His father was a pastor, a wonderful, warm, caring, sensitive gentleman that was just perfect for Danny and Frances growing up, because he was the consummate, ultimate stepfather to step into that role, much like Bill Beachnall was in our family.
Yeah,
frankly.
I was just thinking the same thing. We had the best stepfather in the world.
That's right. And so Alfred and Matilda were married, and in 1926, they started to construct Meadow Brook Hall. Now, Meadow Brook Hall, again, is 88,000 square foot. It's an events venue and cultural center, historic house museum. I wanted to add, it's a National Historic Landmark, one of only a handful in Michigan. And so it's on comparable grounds as the Lansing State Capitol building and the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Also a couple other local National Historic Landmarks.
That's big.
It has that designation. It was awarded, I think, around 2012 as the best U.S. example. We're the fourth largest historic house museum in the entire country, and the largest in Michigan.
Let me hold you up there just for a second. Catch your breath and get your notes together, because I looked something up while you were talking. I was curious as to see how old Horace was when he passed.
He's fact checking me.
Yeah, well, no, I just wanted to see his age, because it's like putting a little perspective to this for people that are out there, because now that we're living so much longer, he died, he was 52 years old. That's very young. I mean, very young. Then maybe not so much, but nowadays, put some perspective on that, everybody. Think about that, okay? I just wanted to throw that out there because Bill's story is so compelling. It's great. So go ahead, Bill, please.
And I think Matilda was probably about 35. So she was a little, quite a bit younger, maybe 15 years younger than John. And so she's a new mother, new widow, new stepmom. She's got 3 stepkids, 3 kids. He's gone. And Dodge was a world brand, right? And so it was an environment for her and her family, much like the paparazzi of today, where the media is just in your face about the death of your spouse, the death of your husband. And she took her kids and went to France for a year to get away from all of the commotion around his passing, just to get some space for her and her family. And so they went over there and took in culture. And that kind of, I think, informed a lot of her art selections and future decisions around Meadow Brook Hall.
Interesting.
When she returned, her and Alfred, they began to build Meadow Brook Hall. And when John was alive, they had purchased a farm called Meadow Brook Farms in Avon Township, which is actually now Rochester, Michigan. So in northern Oakland County, it's very hilly, very unlike Detroit. It was kind of like at the time going up north, right? So if you left Detroit and you drove north for 2 hours, like we would, and we would end up in Gaylord or something, they would end up in Rochester. So when they went up north, trying to get away from the city and the pollution and the industrialization that was happening and taking over Detroit at the time for weekend getaways and things. So they had what was called a country retreat. It was 320 acres of this Meadow Brook farm. And this is where actually John and Horace first started to design and test the Dodge Brothers motor car that they developed and in the future would sell. But it's on the tail end geographically of the Irish Hills that start around Jackson, and it runs up southeast Michigan and kind of tails off in Oakland County. And so if you're driving from Ingham County to Shiawassee County to Genesee County and to Oakland County, you see a very flat Michigan that suddenly becomes very hilly and green, and there's lots of lakes and rivers and streams, and that's Oakland County. It's the tail end of the Irish Hills, which start in Jackson. So there's an interesting geographic phenomenon that's happening here. But anyway, they got the farm. It's 300 acres. And they would spend their weekends here. They were improving the farm. John built a 9-hole golf course for himself on the property because he was tired of competing on public courses for time and space. And so he built a 9-hole golf course along with a clubhouse. He built a greenhouse for his wife, who loved planting flowers. He built an orchard, improved lots of things on the farm before he passed away. And this is the location where Matilda eventually built Meadow Brook Hall with Alfred.
All right, we're going to jump off there. We're getting close to the beginning of Oakland University here. You can feel it coming. For those listeners that don't get the 5th segment of the radio program, I apologize. There's some stations that don't carry it. You can always get the podcast because Bill's going to roll into this. And believe me, Bill Matt, Executive Director of Meadow Brook Hall, will be back again. We will be talking more about Meadow Brook Hall so you can get more details. But if you missed the 5th segment, go to the podcast, TomMattShow.com, and pick it up. Resetting this whole thing, this show is called Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. This is episode 2 of season 13, baby. And I'm so happy to have my brother from our mother here, the real deal. William Paul Matt is in the house talking about Oakland University. I love talking about higher ed. So great. Helped our family so much. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thrilled to have Brother Bill, William Paul Matt, my guest today. He's the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. Learning all about all kinds of stuff. I mean, we're talking geography, we're talking triangulation, we're talking GPS, we're talking sealed bearings. I mean, this show's covered more ground than Patton's Army did. I swear to God. Here we go. All right. Before we go much farther, though, let's get the details. How do you contact Bill? You want to get back to him? You want to find out more about all of his stuff? Go ahead, bro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have the most exclusive wedding venue in the entire state of Michigan, you need to come see Meadow Brook Hall. We do weddings in the summer in our historic atmosphere. The aesthetic, the gardens, it's a beautiful location, fully catered, 5-star dining experiences, top-notch, elegant, exclusive wedding venue. Okay, that's our business model. That's where we make our bread and butter. So we got to get that out there first. Visit meadowbrookhall.org. That's Meadowbrook Hall, all one word, .org, for booking details, corporate events, social events, but especially your weddings. And they're booking fast. We do about 80 weddings a year, Tom.
How far out do you have to book those, Bill?
Well, if you want a primetime Saturday, we're sold out in 2024.
Okay, so there you go, everybody. That gives you a little bit of perspective
Saturday,
here.
Look at 2025. If you can work with a Friday or Sunday, which we have a lot of clients that do, you can still find some dates in 2024.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead. Continue on, please.
So beyond our rental business, we also do tours. We do some thematic tours. We do special events. We do concerts in the summer, but we do guided tours Monday, Sunday, Saturday, and Fridays. And you can get a guided or self-guided tour. Again, meadowbrookhall.org to book your tickets. Now, starting the day after Thanksgiving, we are launching our Holiday Walk program, along with Winter Wonderlights. Winter Wonderlights is a new show. It's a production that we launched 2 years ago. So this is our third year of production. It's a new event. We brought in around 35,000 visitors each of the first 2 years. And this year, tickets are going fast. So, surpassing the first year's excitement. And
what do those cost, Bill?
The tickets, I think, are $20.50. Or somewhere in that neighborhood. And there's some range. There's a veterans discount. There's an employee kind of staff discounts. There's youth discounts. There's a family.
Obviously a good value if you're selling them out.
Yeah, there's a family pass on Sundays where I think children under 12 are like half price or even free or something like that. So great deals to be found on there. But just a wonderful time to come and experience Meadow Brook Hall at its most inspirational. So all of the grounds are lit up with music and lights that are activated. There's about 6 different show elements that you would tour, along with seeing the inside of the house. Inside the house, over 50 trees decorated throughout the hall. Every room's got a unique theme. So lots of enjoyment, opportunity for you to spend time with your family. We have maybe 15,000 people come to the Holiday Walk show over that 5-week period between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and about 25,000 that go to the light show. So it's our busiest time of the year. And then in January, we take a little bit of time, a little bit of rest, and then we start some unique touring programs again in February.
Awesome, man. See, great information. Now, we're not going to burn up a lot of time by Tom yakking. I don't know where you want to go with this thing, Bill, because you got about 6 minutes of free time to go play with, but take it however you want to do it. Your story, the historical perspective of the Dodges and all of that is so fascinating. However you want to kind of encapsulate this, please go right ahead.
All right. So Really the story we feel is like really strongly centered on Matilda Dodge Wilson, right? She was the the brainchild for Meadow Brook Hall and for all of their giving, their philanthropy that her and Alfred endowed across the rest of the state. They supported a lot of different organizations. And one of those was Michigan State University. So Matilda became very close with John Hanna before he was president of MSU. He was a poultry professor in agriculture, and she had a poultry farm. And in fact, she had beef and she had dairy and she had cattle and she had horses and she had hens. And, there's a poultry group and there was a pork group and everything you can imagine here on this farm. The farm grew from 300 acres originally that John Dodge had bought with Matilda to 1,500 acres. And so it was a working farm for about 30 years. And she was very close with John Hanna in order to learn how to best produce things at your farm, right? It was a world-class farm working with world-class research from Michigan State University. As she was nearing the end of her life, she talked with John Hanna, and she made a gift of $2 million, the entire 1,500 acres and Meadow Brook Hall to MSU to create MSU Oakland, a MSU campus in Oakland County, a satellite campus in Oakland County, for the students and the young people here to continue their education. So Matilda actually had some education in a business college in downtown Detroit, which led her to be able to get a job at Dodge Brothers Car Company, which led her to, advance and then eventually meet John Dodge, et cetera. And so she had a tremendous amount of respect for education. And in fact, after she made the gift, she lived on the campus with the students for 8 years until she passed away. So she was very much part of the students' lives, those first few classes that were here at Oakland University. So very, very interesting lady, but ultimately her wealth generated this public institution now that has graduated hundreds of thousands of students, since 1963, when it was first, I think first charter class graduated in 63.
Good story. I love it. So we're kind of connected with MSU, which I kind of knew, but now that people know this, that's very, very it's interesting how this whole thing is all stitched together with John Hanna. And so this is how, again, Bill, as you said, if you go get the brainy people, the smart people to help you build something, typically it might have a good chance of becoming successful.
Absolutely. And, not many people may know, but Wilson Hall on the campus of MSU is named for Alfred and Matilda Wilson, along with Wilson Road. And so they're recognized at MSU's campus today for their gifts of 50 years ago. It's a pretty impressive track record. So it's a remarkable history. We love expanding on our tour information. We're right now going through and we're designing a new visitor center we're going to be opening in the spring, and that's going to provide some upgraded amenities to all of our visitors. So when you arrive, you'll have your retail and your restrooms and all of your amenities, your ticket check-in and all that space right by the parking lot as you get here. So we're trying to make it more more convenient and get our visitors more acclimated to the tour and give them a little bit of this backstory, which we find so fascinating. We hope they do too, because once you get to the house, it's so fabulous. You're not really looking at the history at that point. You're just looking at the details. And so taking the house in and of itself is a really different experience. And we want to be able to share this history of these great people, the Dodge brothers, Matilda and Alfred, and the story of Oakland University, its origin story, really, and the connection to MSU, which we think is important. And it's impacted so many lives going forward. You talked about the refirement versus retirement earlier, and I wanted to give a shout out to one of our employees is retiring in a couple of weeks after 43 years of working here at Meadow Brook Hall.
Wow.
43 years. If you can imagine being in one job or one employer for that long, it's just incredible. And we had a volunteer who just surpassed 50 years of volunteering last year. So the people that we have here, they live it. And now I live it too.
You're a good person to be in charge of this, Bill. I need a takeaway. I got a minute to go. Please give me a takeaway. It's been a great episode. I appreciate all the historical perspective. Please give me a 45-second takeaway.
If you want to have the most beautiful, exclusive event ever in the state of Michigan, you need to come see Meadow Brook Hall. I think it sells itself. If you want to get immersed in the history of equestrian horses and farms and the automotive history, particularly around the Dodge Brothers Automotive Car Company, come visit Meadow Brook Hall. We're here to provide tours, education, opportunities, and rental space for the community. Located in Rochester, Michigan. It's actually not far from the Palace. If people know where that is, coming down I-75, it's only about a half hour south of Flint. So it's pretty easy to get here. And it's a hidden gem, brother. I can't tell you enough. I had never been here before I came to start working here. And it's gorgeous. It's like stepping back in time.
Awesome. Great. Bill Matt is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall. With more than a 20-year career in higher education, Brother Bill has provided visionary leadership in a variety of professional community roles all over the place. I mean, the guy's got such a great background. He's served on the Lansing City Council. He's done many, 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 many things. He was the county commissioner. He's just done a ton of things, plus being a non-traditional for all those years and raising his family. Done a great job. Very, very proud to have him as a guest. We'll have him back because this is a gem that you need to know about. And if it's on the par of the state capitol and the Grand Hotel, enough said. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you. That's why we do these types of episodes. Love the story. Send us a note. TomMattShow.com. Go to the contact box. It's really easy. Sponsorships are available, but they're going fast. You can drop us a note in the contact box. If you're semi-interested in this thing, we'll start the vetting process because it takes a while to do that. Podcasts are available at our website. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Close the show, every show, with that. Thanks again to William, Paul, Matt, Executive Director of Meadow Brook Hall, Sandy, Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Samantha Medved, Alyssa Guadani, everybody that helps support this show. And of course, the legend, Mitch Anderson. Tom Matt Show's production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you very much. We're out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.